Epic fantasy has shaped modern pop culture in profound ways. From Lord of the Rings to Game of Thrones, it's everywhere. These tales of dragons, wizards, and mythical lands captivate audiences. But what makes epic fantasy so captivating for today's world? The answer lies in the deep-rooted themes it explores. At its core, epic fantasy reflects the struggle of good versus evil. The familiar yet otherworldly settings draw us in. The fantastical creatures, magic systems, and mythical heroes fascinate us. These stories offer an escape from the mundane realities of life. They give us the freedom to imagine different worlds. Every adventure becomes a reflection of our own desires. The hero's quests mirror our own personal journeys. Whether it's a battle for the throne or saving a kingdom, we feel it. The high stakes and complex characters keep us coming back. From books to movies, epic fantasy transcends mediums effortlessly. But it's not just about escape, it's about identity. Fantasy worlds allow us to rethink who we are and what we value. Characters like Aragorn, Daenerys, and Harry Potter become icons. We connect with their personal growth, struggles, and triumphs. These stories make us believe in something bigger than ourselves. They push us to think about our place in the world. But how did this genre become so influential in pop culture? It started with classic literary works like The Hobbit and Narnia. As more stories emerged, a culture of fantasy fandom grew. Soon, fantasy films and TV shows began dominating screens. Series like Harry Potter introduced a new generation to the genre. What followed was an explosion of fantasy-themed media. Game of Thrones captured the hearts of millions worldwide. The success of these stories ignited a new wave of fandoms. This was the beginning of fantasy's dominance in pop culture. Fantasy wasn't just for kids anymore. It became a global phenomenon. Characters from epic fantasy tales became relatable, even to adults. They tackled universal themes of love, sacrifice, and power. This created a deep emotional connection with fans worldwide. But beyond the stories, epic fantasy's influence is everywhere. From fashion trends inspired by Game of Thrones to Lord of the Rings jewelry, it's shaped the way we dress, talk, and even think. Fantasy films revolutionized special effects, inspiring other genres. The fantasy genre's popularity even influenced video game design. The Elder Scrolls, World of Warcraft, and The Witcher owe their success to epic fantasy. These games allow players to step into worlds they've only dreamed of. In music, fantasy themes dominate everything from album covers to lyrics. The genre has permeated every corner of entertainment. Its influence is vast, but how far does it reach? The impact of epic fantasy on pop culture is far-reaching and undeniable. One reason epic fantasy resonates with so many is its themes. Good versus evil is central, but it's more complex than that. Characters grapple with moral dilemmas, betrayal, and personal growth. These struggles reflect the challenges we face in real life. The fantasy realm provides an exaggerated lens for our fears. Fantasy often explores the idea of destiny and free will. Protagonists are frequently reluctant heroes who grow into their roles. This journey mirrors our own struggles with identity and purpose. The depth of fantasy worlds makes them more than just settings. They're living, breathing places that become characters in themselves. Tolkien's Middle-earth and Martin's Westeros are prime examples. These detailed worlds provide an endless source of exploration. Fans get to immerse themselves in intricate societies and cultures. From languages to customs, these worlds feel like real places. This level of detail makes fans feel connected to the story. These worlds also explore the conflict between the individual and society. It's common to see characters defy tradition or question authority. These stories push us to challenge the norms in our own lives. The worlds of epic fantasy often feature deep histories. These histories create a sense of timelessness and epic scale. The lore and backstory build a solid foundation for new adventures. This rich history makes every moment in the story feel consequential. Every action echoes the struggles of generations past. These stories also ask questions about power and responsibility. Who truly deserves power? Who should wield it, and why? In Game of Thrones, power dynamics and the struggle for the throne dominate. The Wheel of Time explores fate, destiny, and balance. Epic fantasy is filled with characters whose arcs change the world. The effects of their choices ripple through generations. This larger-than-life impact fuels our obsession with these tales. These characters also face loss, sacrifice, and the cost of greatness. These personal journeys of hardship resonate deeply with us. Whether it's the fall of a hero or the redemption of a villain, the emotional weight of these stories keeps us hooked. This is where fantasy's true power lies, in its ability to reflect life. Many of these tales also explore the concept of unity. These stories often highlight the importance of friendship and alliances. In fantasy, even the most unlikely characters band together. The power of unity is a strong theme in many popular fantasy worlds. From The Lord of the Rings to Avengers, teamwork saves the day. Fantasy also gives us the opportunity to explore gender and identity. Strong female characters like Arya Stark and Daenerys Targaryen defy expectations. These characters show that power and agency are not gendered. By introducing complex characters, fantasy challenges traditional norms. In these worlds, identity is fluid, and it's okay to redefine yourself. Epic fantasy has had a major impact on fashion and trends. The medieval-inspired armor and dresses from Game of Thrones are iconic. Fans eagerly recreate these looks for cosplay and fashion shows. From jewelry to clothing, these fantastical elements have made their way into real life. The popularity of fantasy series has influenced designers worldwide. Designers often turn to fantasy for inspiration in creating collections. Lord of the Rings has inspired everything from engagement rings to couture gowns. The fashion world embraces the mystique and elegance of fantasy designs. Even high-end jewelry brands have tapped into the fantasy trend. Many famous designers incorporate fantasy themes into their pieces. This influence extends to everyday fashion as well. Fantasy style has become mainstream, with Gothic, medieval, and fairy tale influences. From bold accessories to whimsical fabrics, fantasy is everywhere. Technology has also benefited from the fantasy genre's popularity. Special effects, driven by epic fantasy films, have revolutionized cinema. The groundbreaking visuals in The Lord of the Rings set a new standard. Movies like Avatar took visual effects even further, enhancing storytelling. The effects in these films are more than just eye candy. They're storytelling tools. The use of CGI and motion capture technology has transformed entertainment. Video games, too, have evolved thanks to these innovations. Epic fantasy games like The Witcher 3 set a new bar for immersive worlds. With cutting-edge graphics and storytelling, these games bring fantasy to life. The genre has also inspired innovations in virtual reality and augmented reality. Fans are now able to immerse themselves in these fantastical worlds. Fantasy has spurred a new wave of creative media and technology. This trend shows how powerful storytelling can influence the world. But it's not just about visual effects. Soundscapes also play a key role. Epic fantasy series often use elaborate music to enhance emotion. The music in Game of Thrones is unforgettable, adding depth to the scenes. These melodies become part of the culture, creating lasting memories. The use of music in fantasy has transformed soundtracks in general. From Lord of the Rings to Harry Potter, these themes are timeless. Fantasy isn't just about what we see, it's about how it makes us feel. The combination of visuals, sound, and story creates a lasting cultural footprint. The influence of epic fantasy on tech and fashion will continue. These trends will shape the next generation of entertainment and design. It's clear that fantasy is a lasting force in pop culture. It's inspired entire industries to think creatively and innovatively. Epic fantasy's influence is everywhere, from our screens to our closets. Its impact will continue to grow as new generations discover it. The possibilities of what fantasy can inspire are limitless. It has become a vehicle for pushing boundaries in all areas. The evolution of fantasy will shape the future of pop culture. As long as there's a story to tell, fantasy will thrive. This is just the beginning of epic fantasy's cultural influence. The legacy of epic fantasy is undeniable and ever-growing. Its influence can be seen in everything from movies to literature. It continues to inspire new generations of creators and fans. The genre's impact on storytelling is permanent, changing how we view narratives. Characters, worlds, and themes that seemed out of reach are now relatable. Epic fantasy shows us that stories can be both magical and meaningful. It combines myth with reality, creating timeless classics. These stories don't just entertain, they shape how we think and feel. The genre encourages us to explore our own potential for greatness. It teaches us the value of resilience, friendship, and self-discovery. These are lessons that transcend fantasy and apply to real life. Epic fantasy has expanded the limits of imagination itself. It shows us that storytelling knows no boundaries or rules. We will continue to see the genre evolve in exciting ways. New platforms like streaming services only amplify its reach. The characters and worlds will continue to evolve as technology does. Epic fantasy will continue to inspire and captivate for generations to come. Its themes are universal, touching on deep human truths. It reminds us that imagination is one of our greatest gifts. As long as there's a tale to tell, fantasy will live on. Epic fantasy's impact will be felt for decades, maybe centuries. It will keep evolving, growing, and finding new ways to inspire. Whether in books, films, or games, it will leave its mark. The legacy of fantasy has set the stage for what's to come. Every new fantasy story is a continuation of this legacy. The worlds of epic fantasy will never truly fade away. They've become part of the cultural fabric we live in. The beauty of fantasy is that it never really ends. We are all part of this never-ending journey. The stories we tell today will become tomorrow's legends. Epic fantasy has changed pop culture forever. Its influence is undeniable and unstoppable. The worlds, characters, and ideas will continue to inspire. And as long as we keep telling these stories, we will keep the legacy of epic fantasy alive. The impact of this genre will be felt across generations. It is more than just a trend. It's a cultural revolution. So next time you watch a fantasy show, remember that it's not just entertainment, it's a legacy. The impact of epic fantasy on pop culture is here to stay. The journey is far from over. It's just beginning, and we're all part of the story. Epic fantasy will continue to inspire new creators. Who knows what amazing new worlds we'll explore next? One thing is certain, epic fantasy will continue to shape our world.